నేను అబ్రప్ట్ గా వెళ్ళిపోతున్నాను మధ్యలో, అంటే టైం అయినప్పుడు ఏమనుకోకండి.
No problem, Mataji.
అందుకే దండం పెట్టేసి మళ్ళీ మిమ్మల్ని డిస్టర్బ్ చేయకుండా మాట్లాడుతున్నా. మీ నంబర్ లేదు, నిన్న మాట్లాడదాం అను. నా దగ్గర లేదు, అడుగుతా. అదితిలత ఫోన్ చేస్తే షీ వాజ్ నాట్ దేర్, అందుకని మళ్ళీ అడిగి తీసుకుంటానండి. తర్వాత మాట్లాడదాం అనుకున్నాను అనమాట.
We didn't understand even one word.
That's good. I'm talking about you understand Aditi Lata. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, so Hare Krishna, dear devotees, let's chant one round of japa with Srila Prabhupada. Today is Vaman Dvadasi. Today is the appearance of Srila Jiva Goswami, and it's the appearance of Indulekha Gopi from the Ashtasakhis.
Oh.
So with that meditation, we can chant one round of japa. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता as it is की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam for All session. One second. So today is the appearance day of Lord Vaman Dev, and in our Chaitanya Charitamrita reading last night, I gave an the background for the appearance of Lord Vaman Dev. Just towards the end of the session, for a few minutes, I gave a background. So now we will begin with the appearance of Vaman Dev, and then we will, depending on how much time we have, we can read further also about Bali Maharaj, and how Vaman Dev showed mercy to Bali Maharaj. Actually, there's a few chapters, so let's see how much we'll be able to read. So I won't be reading the introduction, the summary. I will directly begin with the verses. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 18, Lord Vaman Dev, the Dwarf Incarnation. Just in the interest of time, so that we can cover the pastime as much as possible, I will be reading only the translations, and we will not be taking turns. And also we will not be reading the Bhagavad Gita shloka today, if that's okay with everyone, because that also takes some time, so that we can read the pastime. Okay. Sukadeva Goswami said, after Lord Brahma had thus spoken, glorifying the Supreme Lord's activities and prowess, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is never subject to death like an ordinary living being, appeared from the womb of Aditi. His 4 hands were decorated with a conch shell, club, lotus, and disc. He was dressed in yellow garments, and his eyes appeared like the petals of a blooming lotus. Let me quickly go back a little bit towards the end of chapter 17, because here it is saying that Lord Brahma spoke. So the Lord appeared to Aditi, Kashyapa Muni's wife. Then, so now Sukadeva Goswami is saying, so the Lord told her to keep it a secret and that he would appear as her son. Sukadeva Goswami said, after speaking in this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead disappeared from that very spot. Aditi, having received the extremely valuable benediction that the Lord would appear as her son, considered herself very successful, and with great devotion she approached her husband. Being situated in a meditational trance, Kashyapa Muni, whose vision is never mistaken, could see that a plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead had entered within him. O King, so Sukadeva Goswami speaking, O King, as the wind promotes friction between 2 pieces of wood and thus gives rise to fire, Kashyapa Muni, whose transcendental position was fully absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transferred his potency into the womb of Aditi. When Lord Brahma understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead was now within the womb of Aditi, he began to offer prayers to the Lord by reciting transcendental names. So that's where Lord Brahmaji came. So Brahmaji understood that the Supreme Lord is now in the womb of Aditi, and he began to offer prayers. Lord Brahma said, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, all glory is unto you, who are glorified by all and whose activities are all uncommon. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, O Lord of the Transcendentalists, controller of the three modes of nature. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, the all-pervading Lord Vishnu, who have entered the cores of the hearts of all living entities. All the three worlds reside within your navel, yet you are above the three worlds. Everything is in you, but all the three worlds are within you, but you are above the three worlds. Formerly you appeared as the son of Prishni. To you, the supreme creator, who are understood only through Vedic knowledge, I offer my respectful obeisances. O my Lord, you are the beginning, the manifestation, and the ultimate dissolution of the three worlds, and you are celebrated in the Vedas as the reservoir of unlimited potencies, the supreme person. O my Lord, as waves attract branches and leaves, that have fallen into deep water, you, the supreme eternal time factor, attract everything in this universe. My Lord, you are the original generator of all living entities, stationary or moving, and you are also the generator of the Prajapatis. O my Lord, as a boat is the only hope for a person drowning in the water, you are the only shelter for the demigods who are now bereft of their heavenly position. Yes. So, Brahmaji is the head of all the demigods. So, when the Lord appeared in the womb of Aditi, Brahmaji is also offering prayers on behalf of the demigods. Sukadeva Goswami said, after Lord Brahma had thus spoken, glorifying the Supreme Lord's activities and prowess, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is never subject to death like an ordinary living being, appeared from the womb of Aditi. So it appears like he is taking birth from the womb of Aditi, but he has no death, so naturally he will not have birth also. But still he appears like he is taking birth from the womb of Aditi. His 4 hands were decorated with a conch shell, club, lotus, and disc. He was dressed in yellow garments, and his eyes appeared like the petals of a blooming lotus. So just like Krishna, when he appeared to Vasudeva and Devaki, Krishna also appeared like this with Shankha Chakra Gada Padma. He was dressed in yellow garments. So like that, Vaman Dev also appeared in that form with Shankha Chakra Gada Padma and with fully dressed in yellow pitambari, right? And a garland of lotus flowers like that. He appeared from the womb of Aditi. The body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, blackish in complexion, was free from all inebrities. There's no faults in the body of the Lord. His lotus face, decorated with earrings resembling sharks, appeared very beautiful, and on his bosom was the mark of Srivatsa. He wore bangles on his wrists, armlets on his arms, a helmet on his head, a belt on his waist, a sacred thread across his chest, and ankle bells decorating his lotus feet. An uncommonly beautiful garland of flowers decorated his bosom. And because the flowers were extremely fragrant, a large group of bees, making their natural humming sounds, invaded them for honey. When the Lord appeared, wearing the Kaustuba gem on his neck, his effulgence vanquished the darkness in the home of the Prajapati Kashyapa. At that time, there was happiness in all directions, in the reservoirs of water, like the rivers and oceans, and in the core of everyone's heart. What happened at that time when the Lord appeared? There was happiness everywhere, in all directions, in people's hearts, in homes, in oceans, seas, forests, everywhere. In the sky, on earth, there was simply happiness when the Lord appeared. There was happiness in all directions. in the reservoirs of water like the rivers and oceans, and in the core of everyone's heart. The various seasons displayed their respective qualities, and all living entities in the upper planetary system, in outer space, and on the surface of the earth were jubilant. The demigods, the cows, the brahmanas, and the hills and mountains were all filled with joy. Because that's the natural position of everyone. When the Supreme Lord appeared, being his parts and parcels, naturally, even without knowing, everything and everyone becomes jubilant. On the day of Shravana Dvadasi, which is today, the 12th day of the bright fortnight in the month of Bhadra, when the moon came into the lunar mansion Shravana, at the auspicious moment of Abhijit, the Lord appeared in this universe. Considering the Lord's appearance very auspicious, all the stars and planets, from the sun to Saturn, were munificently charitable. So everything became auspicious for everyone at that time. Because everyone became charitable. We saw when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, or he was to appear, everyone was jubilant. We read that at the time of Mahaprabhu's appearance. And people were simply giving so much in charity because they were so happy. They didn't know why, but everyone was just giving so much in charity. Like this, here it is said that all the planets, they became so charitable because they were so jubilant, all the way from Sun to Saturn, right? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Everyone, all the planets were very, very munificent, very, very charitable when the Lord appeared. So that means they were just giving everything freely to everyone. Very, very charitable. O King, text 6. O King, when the Lord appeared on Dvadasi, the 12th day of the moon, the sun was at the meridian, as every learned scholar knows. This Dvadasi is called Vijaya. Conch shells, kettle drums, Panavas, and Anakas vibrated in concert. The sound of these and various other instruments was tumultuous. Being very pleased, the celestial dancing girls, Apsaras, danced in jubilation. The best of the Gandharvas sang songs, and the great sages, demigods, Manus, Pitas, and fire gods offered prayers to satisfy the Lord. See, the Lord appeared here, so the entire universe, all the inhabitants are celebrating the occasion. It's not just where the Lord appeared in that one particular planet. Everyone is celebrating. The Apsaras are dancing, Gandharvas are singing, and great sages and Manus and demigods, Pitas, they are all offering prayers to the Lord. The Siddhas, Vidyadharas, Kimpurushas, Kinnaras, Charanas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, Suparnas, the best of serpents, and the followers of the demigods, all showered flowers on Aditi's residence, covering the entire house while glorifying and praising the Lord and dancing. When Aditi saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had appeared from her own womb, having accepted a transcendental body by his own spiritual potency. See, he didn't accept a body from her body. He has his own transcendental body. He just appeared from her body. Having accepted a transcendental body by his own spiritual potency. So when Aditi saw this, she was struck with wonder and was very happy. Upon seeing the child, Prajapati Kashyapa exclaimed, Jai, Jai, in great happiness and wonder. Even when the father sees his newborn baby, mother and father, they are amazed. Ordinary human child. What to speak if the Supreme Lord appeared as a baby? How many millions of times more will the parents be completely enchanted? So that is the position of Kashyapa Muni and Aditi. When they saw the Supreme Lord, appear as their child. The Lord appeared in his original form with ornaments and weapons in his hands. Although this ever existing form is not visible in the material world, he nonetheless appeared in this form. Then, in the presence of his father and mother, he assumed the form of Vamana, a Brahmana dwarf, a brahmachari, just like a theatrical actor. So, in this context, one small note, you see, Prishni Garbha and Sutapa, Prishni, not Prishni Garba. Prishni Garba is the baby, the Lord. But Prishni and Sutapa, they performed severe austerities and they wanted a child like the Supreme Lord. So the Lord was very pleased and he said, there is nobody like me. It's just me, right? There's no one equal to him, similar to him, or what to speak of better than him. Nobody. So, because I'm so pleased with you, I will have to come as your child myself. But he came 3 times. So, you see the similarity when the Lord appeared to Vasudeva and Devaki, then also he appeared in his Shankha Chakra Gada Padma form with weapons and ornaments. Here also we see the same thing when he appeared as Vaman Dev to Aditi and Kashyapa Muni, because they're the same persons. The Lord appeared 3 times. Once to Prishni and Sutapa as Prishni Garbha. Then the second time as Vaman Dev to Aditi and Kashyapa Muni. And the third time to Devaki and Vasudev, he appeared as Krishna. But to show them that I am the same Lord, in order to fulfill your desire, I have appeared. So first he came in that form, Shankha Chakra Gada Padma form, fully dressed, and then he transformed himself again into, two-handed form in the case of Krishna, and here also as a dwarf Brahmana. So, so the Lord appeared in his original form with ornaments and everything, and then he assumed the form of Vamana, a Brahmana dwarf, and he changed this form in the presence of his father and mother. A Brahmana dwarf, a brahmachari, just like a theatrical actor, right? He just changed his form. When the great sages saw the Lord as the brahmachari dwarf Vamana, they were certainly very pleased. Thus they placed before them Kashyapa Muni, the Prajapati, and performed all the ritualistic ceremonies such as the birthday ceremony. So that was done. The birthday ceremony was performed. All ceremonies were done right then and there. The birthday ceremony, and then the name giving ceremony, and the sacred thread ceremony, everything was done. So at the sacred thread ceremony of Vamanadev, the sun god personally uttered the Gayatri mantra. So who initiated Vamanadev? Sun god himself uttered the Gayatri mantra to Vamanadev and offered the sacred thread. Brihaspati offered the sacred thread. So the sun god uttered the Gayatri mantra, Brihaspati offered the sacred thread, and Kashyapa Muni offered a straw belt. Mother Earth gave him a deer skin, and the demigod of the moon, who is the king of the forest, gave him a Brahmadanda, the rod of a brahmachari. His mother Aditi gave him cloth for underwear, and the deity presiding over the heavenly kingdom offered him an umbrella. O king, Lord Brahma offered a water pot to the inexhaustible Supreme Personality of Godhead. The 7 sages offered him kusha grass, and Mother Saraswati gave him a string of Rudraksha beads. When Vamandev had thus been given the sacred thread, Kuvera, king of the Yakshas, gave him a pot for begging alms. And Mother Bhagavati, the wife of Lord Shiva, and most chaste mother of the entire universe, gave him his first alms. Kuvera gave the begging pot, and Parvati Devi gave the first alms donation. Having thus been welcomed by everyone, Lord Vamandev, the best of the brahmacharis, exhibited his Brahman effulgence. Thus, he surpassed in beauty that entire assembly which was filled with great saintly Brahmanas. All Brahmanas, generally Brahmanas, they will have their Brahma Tejas, but he is the source of that Brahman effulgence. So when he emanated his Brahma Jyoti, then everyone else, their effulgence was very much, it was diminished in front of his beauty, his effulgence. He surpassed in beauty the entire assembly, which was filled with great saintly Brahmanas. After Lord Sri Vaman Dev set a sacrificial fire, because that's what Brahmanas do, they do yagya. So after he set a sacrificial fire, he offered worship and performed a fire sacrifice on the sacrificial field. When the Lord heard that Bali Maharaj was performing Ashwamedha sacrifices under the patronage of Brahmanas belonging to the Bhrigu dynasty, the Supreme Lord, who is full in every respect, proceeded there to show his mercy to Bali Maharaj. By his weight, he pushed down the earth with every step. So just a quick background just for this line. Bali Maharaj had already by force taken over the heavenly kingdom. How was he able to do that? Because he pleased Shukracharya, he served Shukracharya. Shukracharya is a descendant of Bhrigu Muni. So all the Brahmanas, the descendants of Bhrigu Muni, they made him perform this yagya, and as a result of this, by their blessings, by their benedictions, he got, various, he got he got a garland, which would never fade, and he became extremely powerful, in simple words. So much so that nobody could defeat him in battle, because it was as if he was protected by that kavacha of these Brahmanas' blessings. So then he attacked on the heavens, and they couldn't even fight when they approached, because they were surprised. How come this Bali, after being defeated by us, just now we finished the Samudra Manthan Leela, we got all the nectar and we defeated them. From where did he get this courage to come and attack us? So then Brihaspati explained like this: Shukracharya and all these Brahmanas, they have, bestowed all their powers on him by that Brahma Tejas, by the power of these Brahmanas. Now he became so powerful, and this is not a right time for you to fight. If you fight, you will be defeated. For you, the best course of action would be to hide. Go away somewhere and hide. So they left the heavenly kingdom. Now Bali Maharaj took over. By force he took over, sitting on Indra's seat. But Shukracharya wanted him to actually gain the credits, pious credits, so that he will, by power, not simply by his might, but actually by his piety, he would gain the credits to remain the king of heaven. So now they are making him perform more sacrifices so that he can actually remain as Indra. He can become Indra. So that is going on. So that's when Mother Aditi did the Payovrata sacrifice and the Lord appeared. So now after Vaman Dev appeared, he heard about Bali Maharaj from the demigods. So when the Lord heard that Bali Maharaj was performing Ashwamedha sacrifices, anyone who performs 100 Ashwamedha sacrifices, he becomes qualified to become Indra, to take the seat of Indra. So Bali Maharaj was performing Ashwamedha sacrifices under the patronage of Brahmanas belonging to the Bhrigu dynasty. When the Lord heard this, the Supreme Lord, who is full in every respect, proceeded there, to the place where Bali Maharaj is performing sacrifices. The Supreme Lord Vaman Dev proceeded there to show his mercy to Bali Maharaj. By his weight, he pushed down the earth with every step. Although externally he looked like a dwarf Brahmana, but he is the Supreme Lord. With his every step, he was pushing down the earth. While engaged in performing the sacrifice in the field known as Bhrigu Kacha, on the northern bank of the Narmada river, the Brahminical priests, the descendants of Bhrigu, saw Vaman Dev to be like the sun rising nearby. As Vaman Dev was coming, they thought the sun was rising nearby. O king, because of Vaman Dev's bright effulgence, the priests, along with Bali Maharaj and all the members of the assembly, were robbed of their splendor. They were also Brahmanas performing yagya, but when Vamandev came, his effulgence was so great that all these priests, they were robbed of their own effulgence, their splendor. They all became, their light was diminished. Thus they began to ask one another whether the sun god himself, Sanat Kumar, or the fire god had personally come to see the sacrificial ceremony. Right? If the sun is coming towards us, we can see, oh, there's this bright effulgence coming. They could see some bright effulgence is coming, so much so that they all appeared dark. Now, their effulgence was lost. So they started wondering, is the sun god coming to attend this sacrifice? Or is the fire god coming? Or is it Sanat Kumar coming here? While the priests of the Bhrigu dynasty and their disciples, while the priests of the Bhrigu dynasty and their disciples talked and argued in various ways. Somebody was saying, oh, this is the sun. Someone else will say, no, this is fire god. So they were talking, discussing, and also arguing in various ways. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Vamandev, holding in his hands the rod, the umbrella, and a water pot full of water, entered the arena of the Ashwamedha sacrifice. Appearing as a Brahmana boy, wearing a belt of straw, a sacred thread, an upper garment of deer skin, and matted locks of hair, Lord Vamandev entered the arena of sacrifice. His brilliant effulgence diminished the brilliance of all the priests and their disciples, who thus stood from their seats and welcomed the Lord properly by offering obeisances. Bali Maharaj, jubilant at seeing Lord Vamandev, whose beautiful limbs contributed equally to the beauty of his entire body. So Bali Maharaj, everyone else out of great awe just stood up from their seats. And Bali Maharaj, what was his emotion? He was jubilant on seeing Vamandev and the beauty of the Lord, whose beautiful limbs contributed equally to the beauty of his entire body, offered him a seat with great satisfaction, thus offering a proper reception to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always beautiful to the liberated souls. Bali Maharaj worshipped him by washing his lotus feet. So you see, this is another thing. A devotee is naturally, whether you know he's a devotee or not, externally like Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj is the king of the demons. And he's fighting with the demigods who are the devotees of the Lord. So who would have dreamt, who would have thought that he can be a devotee? How do you know he's a devotee? A devotee feels great satisfaction when he sees the Lord. This is the symptom. Everyone else, yes, they saw this effulgence and they just stood up. But Bali Maharaj was feeling jubilant when he saw the Lord, and he felt greatly satisfied that he came to his fire sacrifice. So that's one thing here. So this is how Bali, and he gave him a seat with great satisfaction, thus offering a proper reception to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always beautiful to the liberated souls. Right? To the liberated souls, he always looks very, very beautiful, very loving. Bali Maharaj worshipped him by washing his lotus feet. Lord Shiva, the best of demigods, who carries on his forehead the emblem of the moon, receives on his head with great devotion the Ganges water emanating from the toe of Vishnu. Why Lord Shiva is holding Ganga on his forehead? Because that Ganga is coming from the toes of Lord Vishnu. So he holds that Ganga on his head. And on his forehead he has the moon. But he's keeping forehead, he has the moon. But on his head he's keeping Ganga Devi. That means he's giving a higher position. Being aware of religious principles, Bali Maharaj knew this. Consequently, following in the footsteps of Lord Shiva, he also placed on his head the water that had washed the Lord's lotus feet. So Bali Maharaj knows the religious principles. He knows that Lord Shiva puts Ganga on his head. So knowing this, after washing the lotus feet of Vaman Dev, he sprinkled that water on his head. So did Bali Maharaj know that this is the Supreme Lord? Let's find out. But no doubt he felt very, very jubilant and very, very satisfied.
Mataji,
Then he said,
Mataji, who gave umbrella? It's just bothering me. Is it Saraswati?
no, heavenly. So I think it's Indra. It says the head of the heavens.
Okay.
Yeah. You want me to
And
go
this
back?
effulgence and no, it's okay. So the effulgence which they're saying, it reminded me of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was with the Brahmanas, remember?
Prakashananda Saraswati. Yes.
Yes. So at that time also.
Thank you. Thank you,
There's
Mataji.
another thing that surprised me, that he's Lord Vishnu's Rasavataras, Bali Maharaj. I'm sorry, Vaman
Vaman
Dev.
Dev.
Okay. But Parvati gave me first Bhiksha. That was the thing I was thinking.
Because he came as a brahmachari, no, Mataji?
Brahmachari. That
So
Bhiksha
according
first
to
Parvati gave Bhavani. Is
Acha.
that right?
So yeah, she gave, but I didn't understand your point, Mataji. Can you say?
That
So what if Parvati gave? What was the point if Parvati ji gave means?
No. He was as Vishnu's avatar, is that right? Krishna's avatar. That's how.
Right.
But whereas instead of Lakshmi, Parvati gave the Bhiksha.
Acha, like that.
That's what I was surprised.
Yeah.
All are, I don't know how to say.
Because here they're mentioning about leaders, no? All the leaders are giving. So Parvati is the leader of this material world. Probably that is the reason.
Well, he is Lord Vishnu, so Lakshmi Devi would be his consort, no? How will the wife give
He's
Bhiksha to the
Brahmana,
husband?
no? He's not, he's bachelor, no? He's Brahmana in this avatar.
No, he'll marry later, no?
Oh, he
Yeah,
will?
Now
that's
he's brahmachari.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, now he is brahmachari. So, Bhiksha is given Lakshmi Devi, how she will give, because she'll be the consort of Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. So Parvati Devi gave. And then how Parvati Devi is giving means this is the Lord's Leela, because he's playing the role of brahmachari. Then everyone came forward and somebody is giving a water pot, somebody is giving a danda, somebody is giving a begging bowl, someone is giving a
Saraswati also. Saraswati also gave that thing, that Rudraksha. No?
Rudraksha, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, she gave that. So
Yeah.
all of the after Vishnu, Brahma came before.
They're all playing their part in this play.
That was
Pastime.
really good, really good. Good to hear.
So let's continue. Yeah. So Bali Maharaj washed the lotus feet, and then Bali Maharaj sprinkled that washed the water of the foot wash of the Lord, following in the footsteps of Lord Shiva, because he knew the religious principles. Bali Maharaj knew the religious principles. Bali Maharaj then said to Lord Vamandev, O Brahmana, I offer you my hearty welcome and my respectful obeisances. Please let us know what we may do for you. We think of you as the personified austerity of the great Brahmana sages. So he's approaching, his Bali Maharaj's approach is, you are a Brahmana, but you're so effulgent and you're so attractive. We are so fortunate that you have come. Please accept our hearty welcome and please say what an offering and our respectful obeisances. What can we do for you? When a brahmachari comes, you give a donation. Any saintly person comes, according to your capacity, you should serve them, give them some donation, like that. So first of all, find out what it is that, how we may serve them. Maybe they want to, when some sadhus comes home, then you should ask. Usually, they're going to do a festival and they need some help, some donation or like that. So Bali Maharaj is asking, please tell what we may do for you. And we think you,
We think of you as the personified austerity, austerity personified. So, O my Lord, because you have kindly arrived at our home, all my forefathers are satisfied. Our family and entire dynasty have been sanctified, and the sacrifice we are performing is now complete because of your presence. O son of a Brahmana, today the fire of sacrifice is ablaze according to the injunction of the Shastra, and I have been freed from all the sinful reactions of my life by the water that has washed your lotus feet. O my Lord, by the touch of your small lotus feet, the entire surface of the world has been sanctified. O son of a Brahmana, it appears that you have come here to ask me for something. Therefore, whatever you want, you may take from me. O best of those who are worshipable, you may take from me a cow, gold, a furnished house, palatable food and drink, the daughter of a Brahmana for your wife, prosperous villages, horses, elephants, chariots, or whatever you desire, right? Bali Maharaj was ready to give him anything, whatever you want, just ask and I'll give you. Sukadeva Goswami continued, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vaman Dev heard Bali Maharaj speaking in this pleasing way, he was very satisfied, for Bali Maharaj had spoken in terms of religious principles. Thus, the Lord began to praise him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O King, you are indeed exalted because your present advisors are the Brahmanas, who are descendants of Bhrigu, and because your instructor for your future life is your grandfather. Who is the grandfather of Bali Maharaj? Who is Bali Maharaj's grandfather?
Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj.
So the Lord is saying, because your instructor for your future life is your grandfather, the peaceful and venerable Prahlad Maharaj, so therefore you are indeed exalted. So in the present, you are being advised by Brahmanas, and for your future life, your instructor is the great respectable Prahlad Maharaj. Therefore you are exalted. Your statements are very true and they completely agree with religious etiquette. They are in keeping with the behavior of your family and they enhance your reputation. So now Vamandev glorifies Bali Maharaj's family. That means it includes Hiranyakashipu and everyone, right? The whole dynasty is glorifying. I know that even until now, no one taking birth in your family has been poor-minded or miserly. No one has refused to give charity to Brahmanas, nor after promising to give charity has anyone failed to fulfill his promise. You're coming from such a noble family. Nobody has ever refused to give any charity, and after promising to give something, nobody has ever gone back. You're coming from such a great family. O King Bali, never in your dynasty has the low-minded king been born, who, upon being requested, has refused charity to Brahmanas in holy places, or a fight to Kshatriyas on a battlefield. So there was never a king in your entire lineage, dynasty, who refused to give charity to a Brahmana. Like if a Brahmana approached him, requested him for a charity in a holy place, there was never a king in your family who refused to give. Nor was there a king who refused to fight with a Kshatriya when the Kshatriya challenged him on a battlefield. And your dynasty is even more glorious due to the presence of Prahlad Maharaj, who is like the beautiful moon in the sky. It was in your dynasty that Hiranyaksha was born. So the Lord is also glorifying Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, because they are the family members of Bali Maharaj. It was in your dynasty that Hiranyaksha was born. Carrying only his own club, he wandered the globe alone, without assistance, to conquer all directions, and no hero he met could rival him. Right? He was so powerful Nobody could even stand before Hiranyakashipu. And alone he was traveling, not with an army to fight. When delivering the earth from the Garbhodaka sea, Lord Vishnu, in his incarnation as a boar, Varahadev, killed Hiranyaksha, who had appeared before him. The fight was severe. It's not that Lord Vishnu was able to easily kill Hiranyaksha. No, the fight was severe, and the Lord killed Hiranyaksha with great difficulty. How powerful is your ancestor Hiranyaksha that even Lord Vishnu as Varahadev was able to kill him only with great difficulty. Of course, only the Lord can say this because it's him only. So he can say that. Later, as the Lord thought about the uncommon prowess of Hiranyaksha, he felt himself victorious indeed. Like when you defeat a formidable enemy after a great struggle, finally, when you defeat, you feel so good. Wow, I actually defeated such a powerful enemy. So, Vaman Dev is telling Bali Maharaj that after killing your grandfather, not grandfather, great grandfather, uncle, great grand uncle, Hiranyaksha, after killing him, Varahadev was thinking, wow, I have defeated him. That was indeed a difficult fight. Like that, Varahadev was thinking. Who's saying this? Vamandev is saying that, oh, how powerful your ancestors are, like that. So, he felt himself victorious indeed. When Hiranyakashipu heard, now the Lord goes to Hiranyakashipu. When Hiranyakashipu heard the news of his brothers being killed, with great anger he went to the residence of Vishnu, the killer of his brother, wanting to kill Lord Vishnu. Seeing Hiranyakashipu coming forward, bearing a trident in his hand, like personified death, Lord Vishnu, the best of all mystics and the knower of the progress of time, thought as follows. So when Lord Vishnu, he was in Vaikuntha and Hiranyakashipu was coming with a trident in his hand to kill Lord Vishnu. And when Lord Vishnu saw Hiranyakashipu coming, the Lord started thinking like this. Who's saying this? Vaman Dev is saying. Okay. So Vaman Dev is saying, Lord Vishnu thought like this. Wheresoever I go, Hiranyakashipu will follow me, as death follows all living entities. That means I cannot escape this Hiranyakashipu. Wherever I go, he is going to follow me. Therefore, it is better for me to enter the core of his heart. For then, because of his power to see only externally, he will not see me. That's the only way I can get away from this guy. He is going to chase me wherever I go. There's no place where I can hide. So the best place for me is to enter into the core of his heart. The other meaning, the other way to understand is those are materialistic people who don't have any control on their senses. They don't go internally. They are only interested in the external things, in the external world. So they won't take the trouble to go and see inside. So the Lord said, I will go and sit in the core of his heart because he won't look there. He's only interested in the external world. So this is how Lord Vishnu started thinking. He will not see me because of his power to see only externally. Lord Vamandev continued. Vamandev is speaking to Bali Maharaj. O king of the demons, after Lord Vishnu made this decision, what decision? That he'll enter into the heart of Hiranyakashipu. He entered the body of his enemy Hiranyakashipu, who was running after him with great force. In a subtle body, inconceivable to Hiranyakashipu, Lord Vishnu, who was in great anxiety. So Lord Vishnu was in great anxiety from Hiranyakashipu. That this Hiranyakashipu is going to kill me, he's going to come after me. I need to hide somewhere. So who was in great anxiety, he went in a subtle form, unseen even by Hiranyakashipu or anyone else. He took a subtle form and entered Hiranyakashipu's nostril along with his breath. Upon seeing that the residence of, now when Hiranyakashipu came and looked, he was only capable of seeing externally. So outside he saw, he couldn't see Lord Vishnu. Upon seeing that the residence of Lord Vishnu was vacant, Hiranyakashipu began searching for Lord Vishnu everywhere. Angry at not seeing him, Hiranyakashipu screamed loudly and searched the entire universe, including the surface of the earth, the higher planetary systems, all directions, and all the caves and oceans. But Hiranyakashipu, the great hero, remember, the context is Vaman Dev is glorifying Bali Maharaj's ancestors, his family, his dynasty. So Vaman Dev is saying that Hiranyakashipu looked everywhere for Lord Vishnu. But Hiranyakashipu, the great hero, did not see Vishnu anywhere. Unable to see him, Hiranyakashipu said, I have searched the entire universe, but I could not find Vishnu, who has killed my brother. Therefore, he must certainly have gone to that place from which no one returns. Yad gatva na nivartante tad dhamam paramam mama. Right? After going there, no one returns. So Hiranyakashipu concluded that because I saw everywhere and he's not there, I conclude that he's gone to that place from where one never returns. In other words, he must be dead now. Hiranyakashipu's anger against Lord Vishnu persisted until his death. Other people in the bodily concept of life maintain anger only because of false ego and the great influence of ignorance. That means your great-grandfather Hiranyakashipu, his anger was not like the anger of ordinary people who have anger only because of false ego, right? For some time it is there. He maintained that anger until his death. Wow, such a great hero. So your father Virochana, the son of Maharaj Prahlad, was very affectionate toward Brahmanas, although he knew very well that it was the demigods who had come to him in the dress of Brahmanas. At their request, he delivered to them the duration of his life. So, what do we understand from this? Virochana is not a devotee. Virochana is the son of Prahlad Maharaj. But Virochana's son Bali Maharaj is a devotee. So Virochana, he is a deep, like he is the king of the demons. But once the demigods came in the disguise of Brahmanas, although he knew that they were demigods, because they were dressed as Brahmanas, and when Brahmana comes to ask you for some charity, you should not refuse. That is religious principle. So Virochana gave charity. What did they ask? They asked for the duration of his life. So he offered his life in charity. So how great are your ancestors, my dear Bali Maharaj? Your father gave his life for the, in charity to the enemy who came in disguise as Brahmanas.
Who asked
And then
for his life? Oh, for the
demigods in the guise of Brahmanas.
okay. To use his bones? No, that is a different.
No, that's different.
Yeah.
Dadichi Muni, that's different.
Yeah.
Vritrasura's situation.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you also have so these are all your ancestors. Even you are not any less. You also have observed the principles followed by great personalities who are householder Brahmanas, by your forefathers, and by great heroes who are extremely famous for their exalted activities. That means you also have observed the principles that are followed by great persons who are householder Brahmanas, principles followed by your own forefathers, as well as principles followed by great heroes who are extremely famous for their exalted activities. That means you are walking in the footsteps of great personalities. You yourself are very exalted. O King of the Daityas, from your majesty, who come from such a noble family and who are able to give charity munificently, I ask only 3 paces of land to measure to the measurement of my steps. So you see, Vamandev was a dwarf, so his feet were small, and because he was a dwarf, his steps would also be small. But Vamandev is saying, you are so charitable but I want only 3 paces of land to the measurement of my steps from you. O King, controller of the entire universe, although you are very munificent and are able to give me as much land as I want, I do not want anything from you that is unnecessary. If a learned Brahmana takes charity from others only according to his needs, he does not become entangled in sinful activities. So this is a principle for Brahmanas, because only Brahmanas are allowed to take charity. Only the Brahmanas are allowed. Kshatriyas cannot take charity, Vaishyas, Shudras also. They are all supposed to work and earn their livelihood. Shudras will work for someone else. Vaishyas, they will grow their food, protect cows. Kshatriyas, they rule, they give protection to others and they collect taxes. So nobody, they work. Whereas Brahmanas, they can go and beg door to door. They can collect charity. But the condition is they can only, if they take charity as much as they need for their basic maintenance, they will not be entangled by sinful activities. But if they take more because charity is coming, let me take and increase my bank balance, then he will lose his Brahminical power. That will be said in the next lines also. So, yeah. So if he takes charity from others only according to his needs, he does not become entangled in sinful activities. When Bali Maharaj heard this from Vaman Dev, he wants only 3 steps of land. Bali Maharaj said, "O son of a Brahmana, your instructions are as good as those of learned and elderly persons." Whatever you said, right? You speak like a very, very learned, a very experienced elderly person. Your instructions are very good. Nonetheless, you are a boy and your intelligence is insufficient, right? Thus, you are not very prudent in regard to your self-interest. So, you have an opportunity to ask more. You're asking me. I own the heavens and everything practically now. All the planets are under my control. And you're asking only 3 steps of land. From this I can understand your intelligence is still like a small boy. Although you're speaking very learned words, but your intelligence is not sufficient. You're not very prudent in regard to your self-interest. I am able to give you an entire island. So here Prabhupada says island means an entire planet. Bali Maharaj is saying, I could give you a whole planet because I am the proprietor of the 3 divisions of the universe, upper, middle, lower planetary systems. I am the proprietor. You have come to take something from me, right? Who owns the whole universe practically. And you have pleased me by your sweet words, right? I'm completely conquered. So I will give you whatever you ask. But you are asking only 3 paces of land. Therefore, you are not very intelligent. O small boy, one who approaches me to beg something should not have to ask anything more anywhere, right? For the rest of his life, he'll get so much from me that he would not have to beg from anyone ever again in his whole life. Therefore, if you wish, you may ask from me as much land as will suffice to maintain you according to your needs, right? For your whole life. Just ask so that you don't have to go and ask anyone else in future. Now, what is Vaman Dev replying? The personality of Godhead said, "Oh, my dear king, even the entirety of whatever there may be within the 3 worlds to satisfy one's senses cannot satisfy a person whose senses are uncontrolled." Very, very powerful, right? It is not that when you get more, then you will be more satisfied. This is our illusion. This is our illusion to think that if I have more, then I will be more satisfied. I will enjoy more. Even if you get, Vaman Dev is saying, even if you get whatever there is for the enjoyment of the senses in all the 3 planetary systems of this universe, even if someone got everything, take the example of Hiranyakashipu, still, if that person's senses are uncontrolled, he will not be satisfied. Who are the people that commit suicide most of the time? It is the wealthiest people, the most successful, famous people, because after reaching there, they don't know what else to expect for. They got everything and still there is vacancy in the heart. What else can they get? And then they think this is all there is to life and they commit suicide. So similarly, you get everything that is in the whole universe. Still, if your senses are not controlled, you're not going to be satisfied. So then why you're offering me so many things, my dear Bali Maharaj? That's the point. If we are not satisfied, the personality of Godhead said, oh my dear king, even the entirety of whatever there may be within the three worlds to satisfy one's senses cannot satisfy a person whose senses are uncontrolled. If I were not satisfied with three paces of land, then surely I would not be satisfied even with possessing one of the 7 islands consisting of 9 varshas. Even if I possessed one island, I would hope to get others, right? You're saying you will give me one island, you can give me one island. You know, right? The whole Bhumandala has 7 islands. So center is Jambu Dvipa. Like that we have Shalmali Dvipa, Plaksha Dvipa, like that 7 Dvipas are there. So Bali Maharaj is saying, oh, why 3 pieces of land? I can give you one full island. Vaman Dev is saying, even if you gave me one full island, because if my senses are not controlled, I will think, why one island? Why not more? There is 6 more. So I'm not going to be satisfied even if you gave me one full island. That is, if I cannot be satisfied with 3 pieces of land, I will not be satisfied even with your one full island. I will think more, I want more. So really satisfaction is, it's a state of consciousness, right? It is a quality of one's consciousness, one's heart. So if I'm not satisfied with 3 pieces of land, I won't even be satisfied with your island. We have heard that although powerful kings like Maharaj Prithu and Maharaj Gaya achieved proprietorship over the 7 dvipas, right? Like even we read yesterday, Ambarish Maharaj, he owned all 7 islands. Like him, Prithu Maharaj also owned. Maharaj Gaya also owned all 7 islands. Although they owned all this, they could not achieve satisfaction or find the end of their ambitions. By acquiring property, they couldn't find satisfaction. One should be, this is the instruction, one should be satisfied with whatever he achieves by his previous destiny. This is something that we have to learn in today's world, because in today's world, everyone is after improving their standard of living. Actually, our standard of living is based on our previous destiny. So Vaman Dev's instruction is, one should be satisfied with whatever he achieves by his previous destiny. It's not necessary that because someone else has a bungalow, I must also have a bungalow. No, it's not required. There is all different types, all different grades in the society, and we don't have to imitate another person's standard of living. One should be satisfied with whatever he achieves by his previous destiny. Why? For discontent, dissatisfaction can never bring happiness. If you are satisfied, you will be happy even in your 1-bedroom apartment, or even in your studio you will be happy. If you have that quality of satisfaction. And if you don't have satisfaction, you have 10 bungalows, 10 houses or whatever, still you're always in anxiety. You don't have peace of mind. Why? Because in your heart, there is no satisfaction. You're always thinking, more, more, more. That will make me happy. That will make me secure. It will never make you secure. It will never make you happy. This is Vaman Dev's very important instruction. One should be satisfied with whatever he achieves by his previous destiny, for discontent can never give happiness, can never bring happiness. A person who is not self-controlled will not be happy even with possessing the 3 worlds. Material existence causes discontent in regard to fulfilling one's lusty desires and achieving more and more money, because there's no limit. Whatever we've set as a standard, after some time when we get that, that's not sufficient. Now, the times have changed. Now this much has no value. Now I need to get more and more and more. That means the quality of my heart is dissatisfaction. And anyone who has this discontent, he cannot be happy. This is the cause for the continuation of material existence, material life, which is full of repeated birth and death. But one who is satisfied by that which is obtained by destiny is fit for liberation from this material existence. Who is fit for liberation? One who is satisfied with what he achieved by his destiny, is not trying to multiply it more and more and more and make his future secure. That's not his goal. Rather, he uses his time for realizing the Supreme. First, realize the self and realize the Supreme. A Brahmana who is satisfied with whatever is providentially obtained is increasingly enlightened with spiritual power. Who is satisfied with whatever is providentially obtained. You don't have to, this is again and again our acharyas say this, atyahara. Atyahara means what? Over endeavoring, over accumulating, atyahara prayasascha, over endeavoring and overeating, over accumulating, all these things. This, when we have this, that means our material life will continue. After this life, another life and another life. Material existence will continue. So, be satisfied with what you have, and but sometimes things come providentially. Be satisfied, like sometimes you may get an inheritance. You're not working for it or anything, but the inheritance has come, right? Or you get a job or whatever, right? You do some work without having to endeavor too much. Again, you have 24 hours. How much time you can spend for working and how much time you should spend for spiritual activity, right? There has to be a balance. Not that anyway half of the time is gone in sleeping and maintain, and then the remaining time is taken up in working. What time is left for spiritual advancement? So that is called over endeavoring. So life has to be molded in such a way that one remains satisfied with whatever is providentially obtained. If one can remain like this, a Brahmana who is satisfied with whatever is providentially obtained is increasingly enlightened with spiritual power. So if we want to make spiritual advancement, and side by side we also want material advancement, we are endeavoring for material prosperity and also we want to make spiritual advancement. Is it going to happen? It is like trying to light the fire in the yagya and pouring water on it at the same time. It will never light. It will never light. So I'm practicing spiritual life, but I have all these aspirations to make material advancement. Yes, you'll get material advancement. Because you're chanting, you're doing some devotional service, you'll get that. But will you also get spiritual enlightenment? Because you're not aspiring for that. And if you're aspiring for that, then why you will be endeavoring for material advancement? They don't go together. Ram and Kam don't go together. Kam means lusty desire for material prosperity. Rama means the supreme giver of pleasure, Radha Raman. So if we want him, if we want Krishna, so if I want material prosperity, if that is my goal, then I'm not going to get spiritual enlightenment. I'm not going to get. But because I'm also practicing some bhakti, and I'm practicing bhakti and I'm maintaining desire for material prosperity, by dint of bhakti, yes, I'll get material prosperity. I'll get material prosperity. Or someone else is aspiring liberation, right? He wants liberation and he's also practicing bhakti. Yeah, by dint of his bhakti, he can get liberation. But is he actually going to get love of Godhead? So that's what is being said here. That, see, a Brahmana who is satisfied with whatever is providentially obtained is increasingly enlightened with spiritual power, but the spiritual potency of a dissatisfied Brahmana decreases. You may have achieved some advancement, but if you are dissatisfied because of not making enough material progress, if you remain dissatisfied, that will diminish your spiritual potency. Dissatisfaction of the dissatisfaction because of not making material progress. Such dissatisfaction will diminish your spiritual potency. How? As fire diminishes in potency when water is sprinkled upon it. Simple. Therefore, O King, from you, the best of those who give charity, I ask only 3 paces of land. Why? Because I have to be satisfied. I am a Brahmana. So already the Lord gave those points. So I'm asking only 3 paces of land. By such a gift, I shall be very pleased, for the way of happiness is to be fully satisfied, to receive that which is absolutely needed. Yes, if you want to be happy, just accept that which is absolutely needed. Don't accumulate. If you accumulate, you will not be happy. That's not the way way to happiness. Although it's ironical, we accumulate thinking that by this I will be secure, I will not have anxiety, right, in my old age or in whatever, and then I will live peacefully, I will be happy. That's what we think. But this is Maya. This is Maya. Maya gives you that illusion. Yes, yes, yes. Now you work hard and you accumulate, and then in your old age, you'll be peaceful and happy. You will never be peaceful, you will never be happy. Take it for granted. All we have is now. How you use your time now will decide your future. If you use your time now in anxiety for accumulating, someone else will take all your accumulated wealth, you will meet with death, and because you didn't practice Krishna consciousness sincerely, after you die, your karma will take you to your next destination. But if you use this time for awakening your love for the Supreme Lord, use this time, use whatever facility you have, the time that you have, in pushing this Krishna consciousness for yourself and for spreading it. Then your future is very bright. And don't worry that, oh, then I will have to suffer in my old age because I didn't do anything now. You are giving your life to Krishna. He is the master of the whole. Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. He is the proprietor of everything. And if you are his servant, what will you lack in? But the problem is we don't have faith. And when we don't have faith, we cannot do that. We cannot accept it. So therefore, we have to work on building our faith. How do we work on building our faith? Exactly what we are doing now. Here, see the lives of great personalities. Hear the instructions from Srimad Bhagavatam given by Vaman Dev, and study the lives of great personalities like Ambarish Maharaj in the association of devotees from realized personalities. When we do this, our Shraddha, our faith in these instructions will grow, and then we will be able to take shelter of Krishna fully and not take shelter of fallible soldiers, right? Our bank balance, our community members, our family members, what else? Our assets. These are all fallible soldiers. They won't be able to save us. When you remember that Chandavega attacked, right? King Puranjana's allegorical story. So when old age comes, when death comes, all our soldiers, we think we are depending, counting on them. Nobody, I mean, even if they want to help, they won't be able to help. Everyone will be crushed by the force of time. And helplessly, we will be seeing that all our soldiers are just being annihilated. And finally, I will also be forced. Agra Sochi Sada Sukhi. One who thinks ahead of time is always happy. Otherwise, if we just lose the time that we have now, then we will be miserable, right? Later on. So, therefore, O King, from you, from you, the best of those who give charity, I ask only 3 paces of land. By such a gift, I shall be very pleased. For the way of happiness is to be fully satisfied to receive that which is absolutely needed. Sukadev Goswami continued, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead had thus spoken to Bali Maharaj, Bali smiled and told him, all right, take whatever you like. Right? To confirm his promise to give Vamandev the desired land, he then took up his water pot. Understanding Lord Vishnu's purpose, Shukracharya, the best of the learned, immediately spoke as follows to his disciple, who was about to offer everything to Lord Vamandev. Shukracharya saw that now Bali Maharaj is going to pronounce, right? He is going to actually promise by sipping water. He's going to promise to Vamandev that he's going to give him 3 steps of land. Shukracharya said, O son of Virochana, this brahmachari in the form of a dwarf is directly the imperishable supreme personality of Godhead Vishnu. Accepting Kashyapa Muni as his father and Aditi as his mother, he has now appeared in order to fulfill the interests of the demigods. You do not know what a dangerous position you have accepted by promising to give him land. I do not think that this promise is good for you. It will bring great harm to the demons. This person, falsely appearing as a brahmachari, is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, who has come in this form to take away all your land, wealth, beauty, power, fame, and education. After taking everything from you, he will deliver it to Indra, your enemy. You have promised to give him 3 steps of land in charity, but when you give it, he will occupy the 3 worlds. You are a rascal. You do not know what a great mistake you have made. After giving everything to Lord Vishnu, you will have no means of livelihood. How then shall you live? Vamandev will first occupy the 3 worlds with 1 step, then he will take his 2nd step and occupy everything in outer space, and then he will expand his universal body to occupy everything. Where will you offer him the 3rd step? You will certainly be unable to fulfill your promise, and I think that because of this inability, your eternal residence will be in hell, right? For not being able to keep your promise, you'll go to hell. Learned scholars do not praise the charity, that charity which endangers one's own livelihood. So this whole thing is explaining about how Shukracharya is trying to convince Vamandev in so many ways that he should not give charity to, trying to convince Bali Maharaj that he should not give charity to Vamandev. So the pastime continues like this, but it's already time, 5:30. So now we see actually Bali Maharaj's, what we can do is we'll just read the summary, okay? So we'll finish like we did for Janmashtami. Okay, after hearing the instructive, I'm reading from here. After hearing the instructive advice of Shukracharya, Bali Maharaj became contemplative because it is the duty of a householder to maintain the principles of religion, economic development, and sense gratification. Bali Maharaj thought it improper to withdraw his promise to the brahmachari. To lie or fail to honor a promise given to a brahmachari is never proper, for lying is the most sinful activity. Everyone should be afraid of the sinful reactions to lying, for Mother Earth cannot even bear the weight of a sinful liar. The spreading of a kingdom or empire is temporary. If there is no benefit for the general public, Such expansion has no value. Previously, all the great kings and emperors expanded their kingdoms with a regard for the welfare of the people in general. Indeed, while engaged in such activities for the benefit of the general public, eminent men sometimes even sacrifice their lives. It is said that one who is glorious in his activities is always living and never dies. Therefore, fame should be the aim of life, and even if one becomes poverty stricken for the sake of a good reputation, that is not a loss. Bali Maharaj thought that even if this brahmachari Vaman were Lord Vishnu, if the Lord accepted his charity and then again arrested him, Bali Maharaj would not envy him. Considering all these points, Bali Maharaj finally gave in charity everything he possessed. Lord Vamandev then immediately extended himself into a universal body. By the mercy of Lord Vamandev, Bali Maharaj could see that the Lord is all pervading and that everything rests in his body. Bali Maharaj could see Lord Vamandev as the supreme Vishnu, wearing a helmet, yellow garments, the mark of Srivatsa, the Kaustuba jewel, a flower garland, and ornaments decorating his entire body. The Lord gradually covered the entire surface of the world, and by extending his body, he covered the entire sky. With his hands, he covered all directions, and with his second footstep, he covered the entire upper planetary system. Therefore, there was no vacant place where he could take his third footstep. With the second step, the Supreme Personality of Godhead reached the topmost planet of the universe, Brahmaloka, which he diminished in beauty by the effulgence of his toenails. Thus, Lord Brahma, accompanied by great sages like Marichi and the predominating deities of all the higher planets, offered humble prayers and worship to the Lord. They washed the Lord's feet and worshipped him with all paraphernalia. Riksharaj Jambavan played his bugle to vibrate the glories of the Lord. When Bali Maharaj was deprived of all his possessions, the demons were very angry. Although Bali Maharaj warned them not to do so, they took up weapons against Lord Vishnu. All of them were defeated, however, by Lord Vishnu's eternal associates, and in accordance with Bali Maharaj's order, they all entered the lower planets of the universe. Understanding Lord Vishnu's purpose, Garuda, the carrier of Lord Vishnu, immediately arrested Bali Maharaj with the ropes of Varuna. When Bali Maharaj was thus reduced to a helpless position, Lord Vishnu asked him for the third step of land. Because Lord Vishnu appreciated Bali Maharaj's determination and integrity, when Bali Maharaj was unable to fulfill his promise, Lord Vishnu ascertained that the place for him would be the planet Sutala, which is better than the planets of heaven. Bali Maharaj was extremely truthful. Being unable to keep his promise, he was very much afraid, for he knew that one who has deviated from truthfulness is insignificant in the eyes of society. An exalted person can suffer the consequences of hellish life, but he is very much afraid of being defamed for deviation from the truth. Bali Maharaj agreed with great pleasure to accept the punishment awarded him by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bali Maharaj's dynasty, there were many asuras who, because of their enmity toward Vishnu, had achieved a destination more exalted than that of many mystic yogis. That means they got a better destination by hating Vishnu. Better destination means better than mystic yogis. Bali Maharaj specifically remembered the determination of Prahlad Maharaj in devotional service. Considering all these points, he decided to give his head in charity as the place for Vishnu's third step. Bali Maharaj also considered how great personalities give up their family relationships and material possessions to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indeed, they sometimes even sacrifice their lives for the satisfaction of the Lord just to become his personal servants. Accordingly, by following in the footsteps of previous acharyas and devotees, Bali Maharaj perceived himself successful. He lost everything, but he considered himself to be successful. While Bali Maharaj, having been arrested by the ropes of Varuna, was offering prayers to the Lord, His grandfather Prahlad Maharaj appeared there and described how the Supreme Personality of Godhead had delivered Bali Maharaj by taking his possessions in a tricky way. While Prahlad Maharaj was present, Lord Brahma and Bali's wife Vindhyavali described the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. Since Bali Maharaj had given everything to the Lord, they prayed for his release. The Lord then described how a non-devotee's possession of wealth is a danger, whereas a devotee's opulence is a benediction from the Lord. Then, being pleased with Bali Maharaj, the Supreme Lord offered his disc to protect Bali Maharaj and promised to remain with him. Okay, so the great soul Bali Maharaj experienced that the highest gain in life is to attain devotional service under the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet in full surrender. Being fixed in this conclusion, his heart full of ecstatic devotion and his eyes full of tears, he offered obeisances to the personality of Godhead and then with his associates entered the planet known as Sutala. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead satisfied the desire of Aditi and reinstalled Lord Indra. Prahlad Maharaj, being aware of Bali's release from arrest, then described the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this material world. Prahlad Maharaj praised the Supreme Lord for creating the material world, for being equal to everyone, and for being extremely liberal to the devotees, just like a desire tree. Indeed, Prahlad Maharaj said that the Lord is kind not only to his devotees but also to the demons. In this way, he described the unlimited causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then, with folded hands, he offered his respectful obeisances unto the Lord, and after circumambulating the Lord, he also entered the planet Sutala in accordance with the Lord's order. The Lord then ordered Shukracharya to describe Bali Maharaj's faults and discrepancies in executing the sacrificial ceremony. Shukracharya became free from fruitive actions by chanting the holy names of the Lord, and he explained how chanting can diminish all the faults of the conditioned soul. He then completed Bali Maharaj's sacrificial ceremony. All the great saintly persons accepted Lord Vaman Dev as the benefactor of Lord Indra because he had returned to Indra, his heavenly planet. They accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the maintainer of all the affairs of the universe. Being very happy, Indra, along with his associates, placed Vamandev before him and re-entered the heavenly planet in their airplane. Having seen the wonderful activities of Lord Vishnu in the sacrificial arena of Bali Maharaj, all the demigods, saintly persons, pitas, bhutas, and siddhas glorified the Lord again and again. The chapter concludes by saying that the most auspicious function of the conditioned soul is to chant and hear about the glorious activities of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vamandev ki jai, Sri Vaman Dvadasi ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. We will end the session.
Krishna Mataji. Hare
Yes,
Krishna
Mata.
Mataji.
Yes,
Mataji.
Mata.
So, moral of the story, if anyone wants Krishna to be as their child, they should say, I want a kid like you. Because remember, Krishna's, we read somewhere that there is no one who is like him. That's why he had to come himself.
And what did they do? For thousands
See?
of years, they were eating dry leaves in the forest. That also has to be done.
No, that is there. But I'm saying the prayer has to be, I want someone like you. That should be enough. Then Krishna will come himself.
Yeah.
Mataji, I had a question. I wanted to ask this when we were reading the Bali Maharaj episode earlier. Is Bali Maharaj was offered to go to Sutala planet, which was considered better than heavens, right? So in either the places, he would again have to take birth, right? He's not out of, he's still in the material world.
No, yeah,
So
it
why
is still
was
in the it is still in the material world, but that does not mean he has to take birth again. He's still in the
he will not
material
be
world.
out of
Actually, he's not in the material world. It's like, Dhruva planet is also in this universe only, but he is not in the material world because he is engaged in. If you become a pure devotee, if you're doing 24/7 devotional service, you're already liberated. You're not in the material world. But it's just like the Nitya Siddha devotees coming to this world to do some service for the Lord. Even though they are in this material world, they are not of this material world. They are not bound by karma. When you enter into Ananya Bhakti, you're not bound by karma. So you have to take birth in the material world again because of karma. But for pure devotees and for the Lord, there is no karma. So it's not like he's bound to take birth again. But the Lord wanted him to do some service. Prahlad Maharaj also, he got darshan of Nrsimhadev. It's not that after Nrsimhadev gave him darshan, he went back to, Vaikuntha. No, he continued. He became the king of the Daityas. And then he married. And then he had children. And then they ruled. Now he had grandson also. So he is in this world, but does that mean that he is still conditioned? He is in the material world? Externally, you may say, yeah, he is in this world, but he is doing service in this world as long as the Lord wants. That's why a devotee's prayer is Mama Janmani Janmanishware, right? I am willing to take birth as many times as you want. My only desire is Bhavatat Bhakti Rahaituki Twayi. I want Ahaituki Bhakti. Ahaituki means causeless. I simply want Bhakti, which has no reason. I'm not doing bhakti so that I'll be liberated. I'm not doing bhakti so that I'll get this or that. No. Life after life, I'm willing to take birth, and this is the devotee's prayer. So then, according to the Lord's desire, if the Lord wants the devotee to go and deliver people in the material world, then they will. So these are those devotees, like our acharyas also, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He is a magistrate, but we know he is from the spiritual world. He has an identity in the spiritual world. He is a Manjari, like that. The Goswamis, they were also prime ministers and finance ministers in the kingdom of Nawab Hussain Shah. But they are not of this world. But they are carrying out some duties in this world as a service for the Supreme Lord. So like that. Once you get darshan of the Lord means you get darshan of the Lord only after you get prema. In the devotional Ananya Bhakti we see, of course, and then you may say, what about all the others who are seeing? They also got prema? No, not like that. But of course, here he has come as an incarnation, so then he is visible to everyone.
Thank you, Mother.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's not that he has to take birth again, but he's doing some service here. And he'll go wherever the Lord wants him to go. And if the Lord says, come back, then he'll go back to the spiritual world. Okay. So we will end here. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.